This is the Friday, May 15, 2020 version of the Market Plus segment. Joining us now, Don Roose and Jeff French. Gentlemen, hello.
How are you doing, Paul? Glad to be back.
You know, it's awkward in these times. Don, you've done the Zoom thing with us here, and it's just different a little bit to play back and forth. I know I said I was going to look at you two and maybe catch signals. I can't make you talk at the same time. But Don, you've been open this whole time, you said, right? The office has been open. Things are operational.
Yeah, exactly. We took the liberty to stay open and did all the things to be cautious, distancing and such. But you know, it's been fine so far, and everybody's been healthy, so it's worked.
Now, Jeff, it's a little different story for you. We talked to Mark Gold a few weeks ago. He was one of the first ones that had to do this virtual discussion. I know he's been at the home office. You've been at the home office. You're about to go to the home place. How has it been trying to do things in a town that's still pretty locked down?
I mean, truly, I don't even think my clients know that I'm not in the office besides when I tell them. I mean, everything's
and you just admitted here.
Yeah, I mean, everything's internet-based, and as long as the internet's high speed, we are good to go.
All right, well, we're good to go on some questions that we got via Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We thank you for all of those. We're going to start with Craig in Minnesota. He has asked us about where is crude oil going with states reopening up for business. Jeff, you're about to put a gas tank or two in the car.
You know, 2-month high here today, $30 to $35 to me is probably the cap. Next Thursday is the first notice day for June futures. So all eyes will be on that. Remember last month, we had the debacle during the May delivery where crude traded down to, negative $40 or $43 a barrel. So we'll see if that actually happens again. I doubt it will happen. Most of the clearing firms have made, if you add positions in the front contracts, they've made you move it out of the June and into the July.
Yeah, that's a little bit of negative publicity there. So Don, do you think oil, $5.07 higher, another 20%, that added to another 22% last week. Is this thing still going to just kind of chug along up?
Well, the one thing it's done is it's helped put a base kind of in ethanol. Our ethanol consumption hopefully goes up. So from agriculture, I think that's a good sign. As far as the upside, I think it's still an unknown. We've got the economy still opening up, and how much driving, what's going to happen. We know we have record supplies out here that we have to work off. But then again, you don't have to pull it out of the ground, and that's the plus that crude oil has.
We got a lot of storage filled to the top. We also have some soil, as you mentioned there, Jeff and Don. Both of you talked about it during the main program, about some dry conditions that are building. So Tim in Crookston, Minnesota, is asking, any drought concerns? Or how about that late or no planting at all in the northern plains? Don?
Well, I think when you look at it, probably for the United States, the issue that you have is there's an area up in the northern plains, like we were talking, the Dakotas. There's a part in the western Kansas area. But for right now, I think we're fairly favorable. The crop's gone in the ground, record pace. I think the area that you really watch from a weather standpoint, South America basically is on the back burner of theirs. I think watch Europe, watch the Black Sea, Russia, Ukraine specifically. I think that is going to be the first weather watch that we have out here.
Jeff, I don't think your trip necessarily takes you to the areas of Illinois that are wet. Are there a lot of acres that you're hearing east of you that aren't planted?
On the beans, yes.
Okay.
A lot of the corn got in. There are flooding, no question about it. I mean, we have saturated soils. We got almost 2.5 inches here again last night. It's definitely going to slow things down, but the heat units coming in next week are exactly what we need. We've been extremely cool here this spring. But yeah, I mean, North Dakota, extremely wet. They're supposed to put in 3.5 million acres of corn here this spring. With 330 futures, there's not too much of incentive. So I would expect some prevent plant acres up there.
Well, Bill in North Dakota. Go ahead, Don.
I was just going to say, I mean, we really, from a trade standpoint, after last year and the wet conditions, there's not a lot of respect for the wet weather so far.
Considering we got that crop in. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, and I know we've seen people say we are a month or I didn't get any mud on my unit at all this year. It's just a whole different situation. We had a good question from Bill, but I want to ask Phil's question in Dresden, Ontario. He's asking again about China. We talked about it during the broadcast, but this one's a little more specific. Will China come close to meeting its stage 1 agreement commitments this year, or has the president's recent musings about canceling the agreement put the lid on any potential November soybean rally? That's the specific thing there, Jeff, that let's talk about November.
Well, I mean, we've been in a downtrend here for 3 months. This is the first week that we've seen the Commitment of Traders report where the funds are actually starting to build a long position, meaning they are hoping and betting on higher prices to come here. But, it's going to be an uphill battle. The supplies throughout the world are there. The strong U.S. dollar continues to make some of our beans the most expensive in the world. But again, it's going to come down to Mother Nature, and there's a long growing season upon us.
And there's also a political season, Don. You want to talk politics now?
Well, I tell you, we've been in politics here for 3.5 years, haven't we?
Yeah.
But I think when you look at it from a grain standpoint, that's exactly it. I mean, we're watching China very close. They're the big elephant in the room as far as the new buying that can actually come into the market. But, you talk about marketing, and I was just going to point out there's one very unusual thing, which is telling us that soybeans are going to probably looking for China to have some big purchases. November soybeans are trading 2 cents higher than July 21. So you carry soybeans for 8 months and you're going to lose 2 cents, not counting storage and interest. That's sending a signal that there's some buying underneath the market.
So there's always something in that market. And it's funny you mentioned 21. The Schmidt Brothers farms, they're in Fountain City, Wisconsin, beautiful part of the state. They're asking, where do you see corn and soybean prices by the fall of 2021? So Don, is that kind of give a little light that the market is telling us something about 21?
21, well, new crop at 21. I think the producer on rallies is going to be interested in trying to lock in some better prices. But the real issue from a farmer standpoint is a lot of us are living on the insurance as far as our protection. But are we going to start out this much lower for next year on our crop insurance? And that's a real issue because the break evens are something different than they're showing right now on 2021.
All right. Jeff, we have a question from Scott in Dyersville, Iowa there, and he's asking, what are you going to store this year in this crop year? Are you going to store corn or are you going to store beans?
Well, I think you got to look at storing the corn here. I mean, seeing what happens here with the Chinese demand, the carry's there, and, we'll see if it moves higher, but I would store the corn here.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Don.
I was just going to tell you that's a real issue out here in the country. There's a lot of old crop corn to carry over, and are we going to have enough storage as we go forward? And with the beans, like we said, inverted in November, it's almost a no-brainer that you try and move the beans if we're going to stay this way versus the corn.
Well, it's kind of about that new crop, old crop discussion we had during the analysis segment. All right, Nathan got a question here from Wisconsin, and it's one that when he posted it, it got an interesting reaction. I think you both are going to almost do the exact same thing. He's saying, what's the likelihood of a collapse in the cattle markets? Jeff?
From my standpoint, it's happened. We had, producers are losing money left and right. So it's happened. Is it going to get better? I don't know. It's estimated that we've backlogged 1 million head here as of June 1st. This is going to be something that we are going to be dealing with until the end of the year. And what we need strong demand. We need the prices to come down at the counter, and we need to get the American consumer up there firing up the grills and eating beef because it's going to be a long road ahead of us. And you got the carcass weights. I mean, they're 40 pounds heavier than last year, also heavier than the 5-year average. So that's putting in an additional 4 to 5% beef just on the carcass weights.
Don, those pictures of those cattle right behind your head, they look like they may have 40 pounds on them.
Well, I think when we look at it, yeah, they might have. But, I think the big thing you have on that's different with the beef versus the pork is 90% of our beef is consumed domestically. We forget that sometimes. And then we import the other 10% and export. So basically, we consume all of our beef domestically. And so it's going to be up to the consumer. How do we unthaw out of this economy? But that's going to be the demand side. And on the supply side, I'm just afraid with these big weights that we're going to carry them through, probably like the government says, all the way into next year, where we're just going to struggle and have some issues.
All right, let's talk about next year. We're going to leave with one final question about optimism. This is Brandon in Kansas, and this is a sentiment we kind of talked about in the mental health show. It has been a struggle financially, and there's this question of when will we ever make money? Farmers are struggling, Don. Give us something. Where can we have an opportunity to make some money right now if you're on the farm?
Well, I think you have to remember from a producer standpoint, weather always is a great equalizer. And currently it looks like there's no place to run, no place to hide. But when things look the worst is usually when it's the best opportunities. That's my experience over the last 40 years.
Jeff, same question. Give me some optimism.
Yeah, long growing season ahead of us, and when nobody wants it, that's when you want to own it. I mean, look at it historically. I know we're going to be battling uphill here, but we'll see what Mother Nature brings. I mean, she has a way of taking care of deficits and taking care of surpluses.
You just took my line. I was going to say the exact same thing. I read one of the newsletters. Mark said that. I was going to throw you back the own company line. It must have been in the internal email that you had. Is that about right?
He says it quite a bit.
Yeah, well, it's true. And you'd never hope for a weather situation, whether it's drought or flood. We've lived through them both. We've seen them both. But it does have a way of eating into those markets. All right, Jeff French, thank you so very much. Good luck to you.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, Don, good to see you. Hopefully next time I will get you in studio, okay?
Hey, thank you. Good job. Thank you much.
I appreciate it. That's both Don Roose and Jeff French joining us today, and we want to let you know that the economic picture is only a slice of the pressure that has been building for everyone from the farm gate to Main Street. This week, we did assemble 4 individuals from the agriculture and clinical fields to discuss mental health and the stress that's amplified and been amplified the last 2 months. The program is available on our YouTube channel and also on our website. Next week, we'll explore how farmers and ranchers are finding new markets for their goods, and Sue Martin will be here to discuss and offer market analysis for all of us here. Have a good week.